So now with Dark Souls, the board game, we've had our first taste of the mega bosses. We've got the Black Dragon, we've got the Asylum Demon, we've got some others releasing out. There's a few set for future release. This is the capstone. This is the idea of moving through the mini boss, the main boss, the mega boss. You've grinded, you got good, you got the souls, you got the gear, you got the dice pools. This is the apex of 3, 4, 5, 6 hours of gameplay. Are you ready to risk it all for that? So let's take a look at that and see, are these expansions worth it? Will you play them, and what place would they have, or do they have, in the Dark Souls game? What I like about Dark Souls primarily is the idea that you explore quickly, you level up, you grind, you get some random gear, you see where you're going to go. I'm about to commit heresy right here. It feels like I'm playing Diablo, and set in a kind of a grimdark, gothic type thing. And when you get to the main boss, when you get to the mini boss and the main boss, you've got these really unique AI decks. I mean, it really behaves. It's interesting. You take the miniature, no spoilers here, but you take the miniature of the bosses and you look at it, and literally what it looks like is going to give you insights to how it acts. Now, if you played the video games, that's going to give you some insights too on there. So the little mobs and stuff you fight ahead of time, they have their own AI, but they're pretty simplistic. And that's not a criticism at all, because they're there to kind of challenge you and navigate and explore and kind of level up and get practice and get souls and develop your character. But the main bosses, they are really something that you will remember for the evening. Now, what I also like about the game is that a lot of games that I play now, and this isn't a bad thing, there really isn't consequences. It feels like I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, where character death means nothing. Healing surges are everywhere. I'm going to heal up, and I've got 1,000,000 hit points. There's never really this threat. And my time, your time, our time is extremely valuable, real time. It is the currency that you can never get back. So I feel like there's no sense of urgency when I play D&D or I play other types of board games where, yes, they're entertaining, but I'm probably going to win. And if I don't win, it's easy enough to backtrack and then really win on there. Dark Souls is really, really hard. How do you feel about investing 2 or 3 or 4 hours, well, 2 or 3 hours of playtime, 2 hours, 2 hours of playtime, 2.5 hours of playtime to go up against a main boss? And even with your tactics that are good, you need to be on top of that tactics. You need to look at your gear as best you can. There's a good chance you're going to get killed, because these are powerful, powerful bosses. I mean, it's crazy. Are you willing to risk that? Real time. I mean, imagine you played with your buddies for 2 hours. Are you ready to just go in there in 10 minutes, have a total party kill? That, I love that on there. I mean, certainly the consequences for playing solo Dark Souls are much less, because it's just you. Playing with a group, it's everyone's time. That's why I make sure going into the game, like, this is no baby cakes. This is the real deal. You got to get good really fast going into this on there. Are you truly ready for that? So now we get to these mega bosses where you've already grinded through the mini boss and the main boss, and there's a lot of fun in that. We've got the Dark Root expansion, so you've got that to pull in, a lot of diversity, a lot of different gears, a lot of different ways you can do things on there. If you've made it to the mega boss, you're almost like, I don't know, do we just kind of like quit while we're ahead? Do we just kind of go home and say we had a great time playing, or do you want to now risk the entire evening? I mean, I guess you've kind of won the game because you did the mini boss and the main boss on there. Do you want to go for that? So there's this press your luck, press the way you're going to go forward with it on there. I find that very, very intriguing. And now when you fight the mega bosses, they are truly so powerful. They are easily, the only thing that had a greater power level in all the games that I played are some of the select monsters, some of the select monsters from Kingdom Death Monster in there. And even then, I mean, if we were going to like go head to head, I think some of the mega bosses in Dark Souls could easily defeat some of the monsters in Kingdom Death Monster. And that's a very unique and challenging game on there as itself. So to end the evening with that price of admission on the mega bosses is like, wow, yes, yes, yes. But at the same time, there's the duality of the game in that they are so powerful, so extremely powerful, that and the AI for them is fantastic. It really is with them. I mean, you really got to study the model. You really got to kind of see what they're going to do. Those first couple of turns, just trying to figure out really fast and make sure you're not that much on the receiving end. You don't see that in other board games, real time, unfolding. You don't. But the challenge, of course, is you really need to level up to face them. So it's not something that you just decide to jump in and challenge that. You can't. You need to play through the other mini and main boss. So you're not going to see them as much on the table. It's not a casual thing. It's not like, hey, you want to fight this huge, massive black dragon? Well, you can't just do that. You got to kind of level up for 3 or 4 hours to get there. I've experimented playing solo, figuring out all the souls that I would need, and figuring out some of the legendary items that I might encounter on there and kind of building all that ahead of time, kind of like fast forward to fight the boss monster. And certainly you can do that, and it works, but I don't recommend that because then it's just a challenge, and it's certainly a memorable fight, but you don't have the currency of your time behind it. It's very, very different playing with friends when you've already pumped through 3-4 hours of tight gaming and somehow made it this far, and now you're willing to gamble your time away on that mega boss. That alone, in my opinion, in my experience, is what makes these expansions so interesting, so unique in terms of a tier challenge level and rating compared to other board games or other expansions out there that might be a little bit challenging too with it. I consider it an absolute necessity for the game. It's a great way to wrap up that kind of trilogy of the mini, the main, and the mega boss. But it's not something that's going to hit the table at all that much in terms of playing.